Jay was just saying be able to join us, but
Oh, by Zoom, you mean?
Yeah.
He said he would try, but he
Okay.
may not be able to. All right, 5 o'clock.
Yep.
We get started. Thank you to everybody who is joining us tonight to go over your areas. Tonight, we are hoping to tackle waste removal, recreation, provider agencies, and unclassified. We'll do our best to get through it as efficiently as possible because we do have a select board meeting that starts at 6. So maybe we'll have extra time or we might have to cut it short. So do we get started with waste?
ready when you are.
Let's go.
All right. Starting with category 46 wastes. Transfer station, actually, first off, we go to 46-1. That's the septic field. We are asking for a $100 increase for mowing. The rest of it is the same as it was last year. So no other changes there. Going to 46-3, cost of living adjustment for Jeff, that's in 10-15. No changes in 10-16, no expected changes in power or phone. Fuel oil, we're expecting to go down a little bit more.
That was before last week or after this.
Well, yeah,
And he has heat
we'll
pumps up
see
there
what
now.
we'll see what happens in the future, but yeah, with the heat pumps up there, we should be on an ongoing basis, we should be using less fuel. And returnables, the ferry fares for returnables, we're dropping that down significantly. I believe we're still handing returnables over to the junior class, so that they can use them to fund their endeavors. So Jeff is not taking as many trips off, so we're dropping that.
Is that called the collection?
That is 30-12 ferry fares and returnables. Line 20, I think, on your spreadsheet there.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the one. No other changes until we get down to Pine Tree Waste. Pine Tree Waste, because, ferry charges are going up, gas charges are going up, things like that. Pine Tree Waste costs are also going up. So we're asking for a $20,000 increase, bring that up to 200 for the year. And then dues and annual report and stuff like that, we expect that to go down by about $150.
And with Pine Tree, I think we're just having more trash. There's more trips out here to remove.
Yeah, I mean, as utilization goes up, yeah, the cost does go up as well, because that's just more times they have to come on, unload, and then drag the old one off.
Because I was hoping when John Applefoot started his dumpster, well, I think dumpsters, no, those,
The roll-offs.
the roll-offs, that
Yeah.
was gonna take a lot of trash stuff out of our, and I think he is busy, so it is helping, but.
Gotta be helping somewhere,
Helping
but
somewhere.
yeah, we're the costs are not going down. That's actually it for waste. The biggest increase there is the Pine Tree Waste, just because of those costs going up. But not a ton of difference from last year. Any questions on 46?
Which is for power.
Yeah.
So we consistently spend nearly double our budget. Is it wise to stick at 4,000? We know the power price is going up, like is that, if our actual for 24 was 51.25, 25 budget was 3, 25 actual was 76.
Yep.
Should we perhaps have that as an item we consider?
We are better on point to hit that now, at least this year. And the idea is that we will continue to bring those costs down as much as possible. Obviously, when we go, couple of months when the solar panels out there are covered in snow, it really doesn't help. But I mean, the same is true for this building and the health center. They cost a fortune to run when the sun's not shining on those panels. So yeah, we are hoping to continue to keep that without increasing that amount, and we are on point to do that as of this year. Whether or not we end the year that way, we're not sure yet, but we hope to.
Yeah, well, you know the little better writing, so we're on track.
Yep,
Good to hear.
yep, we are right now. Like I said, anything could change. Any other questions on 46?
I would just make a suggestion that we, in the future, revisit our conversations that we've had in the past about the high usage of those dumpsters by contractors and debris and.
How we can, revenue, on the revenue side of things.
Change the whole-
As far as the demo bin,
Yeah.
things like that, I know there was a rate increase for the demo bins, was that? For 24? Yeah,
It was years ago.
yeah, I mean, obviously, that's gonna help, but, I think specifically the demo bins might need another look at the pricing going
Well,
forward.
you'd be smart too.
I mean, especially if we're gonna encourage, people to use alternative sources, John's roll off dumpsters, things like that. Yeah. we wanna Change the price.
Yep.
Any other questions on 46? Okay. Moving on to 47. Let's see, okay, we didn't have anybody here from the library, so. Starting with 47-1, for, Melissa and Richard, again, cost of living adjustment there. For power, that's, line 20-10, yeah, you got it. For power, we're actually looking for that price to increase just because of the heat pumps, the change from, heating oil to heat pumps. However, in a later line, we've got the fuel oil that has been dropped by 4/5. So, anyways, we're expecting an increase in the power usage, just switching to everything electric. The solar panels on the roof might potentially offset the power costs. We're not really sure. We're gonna kind of see how those panels shake out and can continue to fund the library's power needs. Line 2011 telephone, we're expecting that to go down $200. To 5, we're not expecting any changes in postage usage right now, and as I previously mentioned, we're cutting the fuel oil down from 2,500 to 500. Because that's what we expect to do in fuel oil. No changes going into some of the later lines, 2509 all the way through 2551. Now here's a change that we've just made to the budget. Instead of having 4 different lines for circulate materials, magazines, books, et cetera, we're just gonna have them in one line. So we took everything in 2564, 2563, and 2562 and just rolled it up into 2561 because none of us can remember why any of those categories are all split up like that. So we said, okay, we're not doing that anymore. So that's the difference there. I believe the end result is actually the same amount though, so that's not an increase, I don't think. Yeah, no changes in travel, sustainability, or dues. And that's basically it for the library, not a ton of changes there.
So does the library also solicits charitable contributions?
They do through the Friends of ALPL. Yep.
And so how does that influence the budget?
It's not. The Friends of ALPL is a completely separate entity from the town. So whatever money they bring in that they spend on the library, that's outside of any budgeted funds. Just like the ambulance association, things like that, there are separate charitable entities specifically to funnel charitable donations to some of these projects.
So I would have to talk to whoever is the chairman of the library board, how they utilize that.
Well, Friends of ALPL, that'll be Patrick O'Bannon.
They do a lot, they support a lot of, both the book sale, they support us with, they support us with the purchase of, the solar panels.
Yeah, they pay for 70% of the solar panels. So I mean, yeah, their charitable works are evident. I mean, from the building, but yeah, that money is outside of any budgeted funds and basically outside of the town's control because that's a separate charitable entity.
But people do make donations to the library and
Yes.
they can use those funds. for
Yes.
Extra.
So people do make non-charitable donations to the library through the town, since the library is not a charitable organization. People do make donations to the town for the library, and Melissa does have those funds available to use basically to supplement the budget. We don't really count on that because it's discretionary. Whoever decides to give, can and will. So anyways, those particular revenues are not really counted anywhere in here because they're discretionary.
Can I just ask one question about that? Because I would have thought that any donation that the town accepted would be a tax deductible donation.
Potentially.
It depends on okay.
It depends on a lot of different things, but because the town is not a charity, it's not a 501c3 and neither is the library. If somebody wants to make a donation to a 501c3 entity, they can't make it to the town.
Yeah.
It would have to go to either Friends of the Library or, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions on library? Nothing? All right. Coming up next is 47-2, and we have a guest speaker. Ed, you have the floor. You can come up to the hot seat if you want. All right.
Kristen. I do have a pulpit over here. Bring that up.
Gave up, won't do that.
Push this out of your way.
Ooh. Well, I'm new as chairman of the library, no, the Lighthouse Committee. But the former things that involves that is, it's right on the shore. So it gets hit by all of the storms and all that other stuff. And so some of our major concerns are based around that. This past year it came to our attention that the underneath of the tower was starting to erode away. And you could actually, see under the tower. So that needed to be addressed. So we had someone contact a contractor and they came out and looked at it. And they've given us a proposal that I've passed on to Janet. And this is to about 2 feet high and a foot deep around the base of the tower that would be actually pinned into the rock. And hopefully that will prevent any further erosion. And then they'll also put concrete underneath the tower where it has eroded underneath the tower. Now, when we realized that this was unnecessary, we tried to figure out where we could get the funding to do that. And we didn't really know how much it would cost. We sent out a fundraising letter and we estimated that we're looking at something like $100,000 job. It turned out the bid came in for $20,000. And so far our fundraising letter has brought in around $20,000. So it's almost like that project is already funded. So the next project is the boathouse. And during the storms we had 2 years ago, the boathouse was actually lifted off of its footings and moved about a foot to the side. What saved the day was a large boulder on that one side of the boathouse that the post is right up against. And on the other side, Ken put some chains and attach those chains to other boulders so that the boathouse didn't disappear. But we have to address that. Now, the insurance company is willing to cover the cost of relocating the boathouse to its original position. But what we want to do is raise the boathouse 2 feet. And so we're looking at getting bids to do that. And we received one so far, and we're continuing to investigate that. But the reason we want to save the boathouse is not only because it kind of is an important part of the view of the lighthouse. The boathouse has always been there. It's a part of the view. But we also want to use it as an extension of the museum and use the boathouse to house larger marine type exhibits. We've got 2 boats, 2 old wooden boats that have been donated for that purpose, and they would be housed inside of the boathouse, along with other things that we have that are really too large to display inside the museum now. What we have in the museum now is only like half of what we have. A lot of it is in storage. And so opening the boathouse for additional museum space will allow more things to be seen. And it would only involve the hostess to unlock the boathouse. And we're not gonna have any little things that we're afraid might walk away, unless the hostess looks out the window and someone's walking away with a 20-foot boat, then we would know that something. But we wouldn't have to have someone there keeping an eye on it. The hostess would just have to unlock it at the beginning of her shift and lock it up when she was done. So that's one of the big things we've got going on. As far as the budget, pretty much everything for this coming year is what is addressed in last year's budget. Of course, the salaries are determined by the town, so we don't have anything to do with that. And things like power and telephone, those are all. But where there may be some questions is when it gets down to line 2507 restoration, and underneath that, equipment repairs. And we still have $17,000 that we haven't used. We do want to install an outdoor outlet. I know if you're here in the Christmas time, you probably enjoy the Christmas lights on the lighthouse. And Rachel Rolson has kind of spearheaded that over the years, but it'd be much easier to do that with an outdoor outlet. So we would need to hire an electrician to install that and a few other small things. But other than that, it hasn't been any more fine tuned. But I imagine that by the end of this year, there will be, in July, there will be some funds from the budget going back to the town.
Unless you do some work.
Unless we got some more work done, sure.
Or if you've got work in the pipeline, just talk to me. We can carry that across fiscal years.
Okay.
I just need to be aware of it. It's a manual process, so, yeah. All right, I had some questions on the museum. Did anybody else have anything?
You just said-
I have one question.
Please.
Given the multiple storms in 2023 and the fact that the road and the parking lot were inaccessible for a period of time, and from the projections we've seen, and we'll see what the RISE committee, this is going to continue. What is the lighthouse, library, boathouse, etc., thinking about sort of more long-term about the durability of the whole site?
Yeah, we have thought about that. One thing is that it would be totally impractical to try to raise the tower.
Yeah.
That's why building this around the base to protect the base of the tower is one step in that direction. But as far as the museum, the lightkeeper's house, and the annex, that could possibly be raised, and that would be something that we would have to address in the future. The boathouse being raised 2 feet should provide safety over it being affected for a while, but it may have to be addressed. One other possibility is that the boathouse could be put on the land rather than hanging over the ledge. And it's just that would not be the image we have of the lighthouse. That's since, going back over 100 years. So we'd like to preserve it as it is for now, but in the future, if it comes to a point where we have to, we would move the house onto the land.
I think that there's quite a bit of precedent for aids to navigation, like Cape Hatteras, which were at enormous expense moved inland. Because
I'm sure that's coming down the road. I'm not sure it'll be within our lifetimes.
Well, I don't know how old you are.
Depends on how old you think you're gonna be.
Yeah.
What questions did you have, Brian?
I'll wait for everybody else.
I have no other question.
My only question is there, do we have capital reserves for equipment repairs for the lighthouse?
don't know if we don't have anything in capital reserve for the museum.
Paul is looking that up, so let me just mention that the Lighthouse Museum is the oldest museum on the island. It predates the Historical Society Museum by like 40 years. It was built when the lighthouse was decommissioned in the 1930s and then established the museum. Whereas the Historical Society came about in the 70s.
It does not look like there's a
I don't see.
capital reserve for the museum, no.
I think we started doing it with the first, when the storm damage happened, they ended up draining what they had in there, and that's when we started the first big bowl for the funding letters.
And the funding letters, anything that was brought in from them basically got spent.
Yeah.
You know, the same year it was brought in, so there was really nothing held over from any of that. Ed, you said that the skirting project can probably be taken care of through donations.
Through donations we now have.
Yeah, exactly, through donations that you already have. The raising the boathouse, approximately what is that gonna cost, or what's the first bid at?
The first bid was 10,000 to move it back into place and an additional 10,000 to raise it 2 feet. That'd be 20,000. And some of that will be coming back from the insurance company.
Do you know approximately how much the insurance company would cover for that?
We don't.
They were only gonna cover moving the building. and
Yeah.
I think you're-
Right, but I was
Well,
wondering
it might be.
if the moving is 10,000, were they covering that entire amount, or, okay? My question really boiled down to, is there enough in the equipment repairs budget that you believe you can do those two projects next year?
Well, if we
Or
didn't
you can
have
start
to,
them this year?
if we didn't have to do our own fundraising for it, that would be one less burden on our shoulders.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is we have, 24,800 for repairs.
And you have 17 right now. I mean,
Yeah.
that-
And there's 17 that's left over in that amount right now.
Sounds great to me.
Okay, so don't believe you're gonna need additional funding, at least from the town specifically.
Yeah. We are still getting responses to our fundraising letter of last year.
Mhm.
Yvette tells me every now and then, we just got another $50. Plus we do, through the season, we sell shirts and hats and other things at the gift shop, which also brings in additional funds. And I hope you've all had the opportunity to go up our nicely redone stairs with nice handrail up into the Lantern House to see the view of the harbor. We've opened it after it's been closed for maybe 5 years, I'm not sure.
Charlotte was there.
Yeah. So we've increased the hours of our hostesses, and we actually hired a second hostess. So to make that possible, and there are people always going in there. It's the people's kind of their first impression of the island when they get here and their last impression when they leave. And if you follow Facebook, you see the guy on the ferry boat takes pictures of it all the time.
Yeah, just noticed it.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, the only increase in 47.2 was the hostess salary. Is it going up just a little bit for cost of living?
Only a hostess and a host person.
Well, they currently happen to be hostesses,
Oh,
but
yeah.
if that changes, I'll update the vernacular accordingly.
I guess my only other question is less about this year, but I know like last year's budget increased significantly over previous years, and I think there's good reasons for that. And the two projects that you had discussed, seem like they're important projects in order to avoid future larger costs. But I'm just wondering, kind of projection wise, is that something that we see that those repairs lines potentially going down over the next couple of years after we've taken care of these big capital projects?
Sure.
That's really the key, is after we've taken care of these projects, and I mean, like obviously the museum.
We're not using that though, except for some storage.
Correct, but at some point, I mean, that will likely need to be done. So I mean, these are ongoing projects basically to bring the place to a position where it's kind of done.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's just not there yet.
Yeah.
Then there's also the fuel house,
Yeah,
the brick building
Right.
yeah,
on the other
Yeah.
side.
yeah.
Okay.
But no, I mean, the idea is that basically the museum will eventually require less from the town. They will bring in, you know, funds that they need through donations and things like that, but once things are kind of finished, then yeah, the reliance on the town will reduce.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job with fundraising.
Yeah, we've got a great committee.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions for the museum?
Going to Harbor.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
The application was submitted yesterday. And, so far, things look pretty good. One of the concerns I think that we all had at the beginning was, you know, grants are wonderful if you get them. If you don't get them, then you have to come up with money to pay for them, or we don't do it. I think that, that project, the FIA project, we do have to do something. It's, and even if we just, took care of the places that are down, that really wouldn't get where you want to be in the end. So right now, on the positive side, I think the application is good. But I've seen some other applications that were great and they didn't get funded, so. The exposure that we have, the final estimate for doing the pier is $224,443.75. The last time I talked with you, the estimate we had was 200,000. So it's up another 24,000. And that's probably a pretty good estimate. And when we put it out for bid, that's when we'll know if we're in the ballpark or not. What the reason they're in the application for asking for $219,111, which is all of the money that we can ask for under that grant. Now, there's a whole bunch of different grants under this, but we're looking at the infrastructure fund, and the infrastructure fund, they have $2 million. And I looked at a number of people in the room that I attended at a meeting on the infrastructure grant, and the room was full of people. So there will be competition. We pay 15, but we pay 5% of the construction cost. When some of the engineering work originally was done so that they had something to vote on and something to show you folks, that you had to have an engineering report. Problem is, we can't recover the cost of the engineering report because they say it was done before the application, okay? And that's part of their grant procedures. So we've got, that was $6,200 on top of the 224,000. So basically, the amount of money is $230,643.75. So that's the construction cost plus the engineering. Okay. If you have any questions about that, I'll happy to answer that.
Well, when you get to Plan B and you don't get the grants, then you're gonna have to fundraise or come back to the town, or what will happen?
Drop back 15 years and fun. I,
We'll swim.
and, and people are optimistic about the grant. A lot of work went into it,
I'm sure.
and, but what we will have to come up with is, the money I just told you, plus the 5% that's gone. And if not, then we would have to come back and look at another one. Okay. Back on the regular budget. We didn't have any increase so far, at least on wages. Everything else stays the same. What we did this year is, instead of going into all the different parts of these different categories, which some of them don't make sense anyway. And some have been added that weren't there last year. The $35,000 is, we have a problem with the River Point dock. And Dylan repaired it up to this point, but we're probably gonna have to have an engineer look underneath a lot more. I can show you a picture of that.
That's in addition to the ramp.
But
That's in addition to the ramp, which you're already.
yeah, right. In the ramp, that we're trying to get done is, as the ramp goes down, the connector on the top is a bar that runs through there. That was not strong enough for all of the work that was going on. So PYY decided that we could correct all of that by $9,500 in this year's budget. And all right, now, if you go down, except for the 35,000, we have like the dues are the dues for the Habermasses, both of them. And Lincolnville, you pay Lincolnville $15,000 every year. And I guess you have to vote to do that.
What's in the budget? I mean, that can be altered,
Right.
but
Right, and then the other thing is, we have $900 in there for the deputy master paid for his boat insurance because we don't supply a boat. And we've asked him to submit the cost of what he would normally use. That, so if he has a couple of boats, we're not going to pay for all of his insurance, but just what he uses for that purpose. And then we have, I guess, 63,000 in capital reserve, and then it continues.
31. But let me see if we did put. What's in harbors? So there is 63,122 because we put in 30,000 for this year's budget.
Mhm.
So it's a total of.
Then we have a contingency of 31,000.
Well, you don't have anything in your contingency here,
Okay,
but it's just in capital. I just wanted you to know what was in capital reserve.
well, I just was gonna hoping that you would say,
Huh.
oh.
I barely had.
We're constrained for time tonight, so I'm gonna keep things moving along. Does anybody have any questions, for Ken on the Harper? I'm sorry.
I just wanna make sure that the door is able to be open for a discussion about the 15,000 that we pay, even though.
Well,
You know, with the
Take your
time,
time.
with the
We have an
time,
option to pay that or not.
I
I have no idea.
It comes up every year, I'd say, I bring it up every year, I just,
yeah, I mean, they're grateful for what they get, you know, and if you wanna take it down, that's
yeah.
the board's prerogative.
Oh, is that discretionary on our part?
Mhm.
Oh,
We help pay to build it too.
I was under the understanding that they, that it was not. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, we do use it, agree,
Sure.
you know, and they do keep it, fixed up, and it
Sure.
means inclines, I mean, and done a lot of things on there. We just need
Every
help.
time I go walking down there, I can see they've made one improvement or another.
Yeah,
New boards, new decking.
yeah, I mean, I would imagine that they would have maintained the infrastructure differently in the winter time if we were not using it, but I mean, I think it's something that we can discuss maybe when we start to go through the entire budget.
Okay,
Great, thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Ken. Next up is a quick one, 47.4 for Shellfish. They're asking for additional money because I think they actually want to do something going forward.
Yeah. Tim Rindle, who is the chair, wants to do some, her budgeted 2,000 for a speed start from Down East Institute. It's $1,000 for materials, spat collection, does that mean anything?
For plans and Mustang seed.
And the other is $100 for licensing.
I did not mean to interrupt the professional with it.
You're
But I
good.
was just excited that I knew. I knew that terminology.
So yeah, that's what that increase is for their supplies. Any questions there before we move on to recreation? Nope. Colleen, you are up in the hot seat.
Lauren is going to, she might need line, and I'll sit here and answer questions if you have them.
Then you're in the Roxy.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm not there in person. I'm going to start high level, and Colleen, I think, is probably better at asking or answering details of what is actually in the budget. But mainly our cost increase this year are due to continuing to scale camp up. We've had to increase salary, transportation. We're trying to kind of keep under, and when I say salary, it is consultants 40-11. So that's gone up 10,000. The 10-11 salary is actually our rec director salary. That's Colleen. We're keeping that consistent from last year, but 40-11, excuse me, further down, those are our camp counselors, and that's where our cost has continued to climb each year. A little bit because we've adjusted our pay, but a lot because we're hiring more camp counselors because we're bringing in more campers. We have also really worked on making this a more sustainable camp. And to do that, we've thought our priorities are making it a place where our staff want to be and where our campers want to show up. A few years ago, we had trouble with both, retaining both. We're now at a point, I think a lot of it is honestly Colleen's great leadership, but we've also invested in programming. And it's a place where people are vying to displace the cost increases that you've seen over the past 3 years. So if you scroll down the spreadsheet a teeny bit, you'll see our revenue projections for this year is 47,000, which brings our net cost to 39,000. So from the 86 down to 39, it's not, I don't think it's spelled out in this spreadsheet, but I want to point that out. And that the 2 prior years to this proposed budget, we were up in the mid 40s as far as our net cost. So we are trying to still drive down that net cost, even though the top line item, the expenses are going up. That's the really big picture that I wanted to talk about. We can go through line item by line item, but I think it's that 40-11 that's really bumping us up.
Thanks, Lauren. No, I think it is a little bit strange in the way that the budget works, because the revenues, we end up doing in a completely separate spreadsheet closer to the end, but it's helpful to have it pointed out now. And I don't have any specific questions. I just think it's really exciting. Like, I think for a long time, I know you guys have worked really hard to, get things going and feel like, okay, can we find campers? Can we find counselors?
Cameras aren't a problem.
Right, the counselors, right? But having the program grow to a point where there is real momentum generation is exciting to see.
And that also reminds me, we've increased camp by a week this summer.
Thank you for saying that. I was gonna bring it up.
So that also, it's extending the cost, but it's also, the revenue is bumped up from that. And we spoke about this during the committee chairs meeting, but the other thing that we've made a change for this summer is our base weekly rate has gone up to be more comparable to a mainland nonprofit camp. And there's a huge caveat to that. So we're at $350 base rate per week. We were at $275. Is that where we were last year?
We are at $275 and $350, depending on how many weeks you're going. So
Okay.
if you're going 5 or more, then it's $275 a week, and 1 to 4 is $350 a week.
So
obvious reasons.
what we're proposing along with that, because we want to make sure we always keep this camp accessible, like 100% accessible to our islanders, is that if you need a scholarship, they are available. And so we are not assuming we will meet the revenue numbers based on what Colleen just laid out, the 275/350 split. We have factored in a lot of scholarship in there. And that is where we've been very conservative on the revenue of $47,000 this year. We played with that number a ton, but it will, I think this year will be a learning opportunity to see how close to completely compensating for camp can we get. And that really is our long-term goal, is to make camp as sustainable as it can be, just by the fees, balancing the right fees for the right families on the island.
Great. Do you guys still do a year-round Islander, like if you went to ICS, a different rate than summer kids, or was that too complicated? We opted for if you're going 1 to 4 weeks, which is the typical amount of time someone who's only here during the summer would go, opposed to the 5 or more weeks that an ICS student would go, and then no one would feel different. Yes. Yeah, no, I get that. That's great. Being very different. Yes. Yeah. You word things better than I do. Where do you guys, is it still based out of the ICC? And Matty Dodge? We have, yes, and an off island. We've grown, so the zone will no longer be our home base. It will be our craft shop. Okay. And we're gonna move outdoors and use the big tents, because we already have 24 campers enrolled, and we are anticipating at least 10 more. Nice. So is the power, is that just from Matty Dodge? That is just Matty Dodge. Do we need to go up a little bit on it? Cause it looks like we overspent. I was thinking maybe we needed to add $50 to just the power line. Because if we spent $483 last year, it's probably gonna be similar into the next year. And so instead of starting $83 less, 20 is better.
Well, year to date, we've spent 100.
Yeah, we're on course to be, to be
Should I
under
read my
that.
columns wrong?
I don't know.
Yes.
But we are currently on course to be, underneath that for this year.
Okay.
What uses power then? When you plug in?
In the summer, on Fridays, we do. I don't know.
Also just-
It's the giant flipping slide thing.
But also just the water pump that
That's
powers,
on.
that powers the.
Yeah,
water pump
I
and stuff
honestly
like that.
never thought
Yeah.
about it. No, not as of now, but that's another
Not the water
project.
pump, but the faucet. I mean, there's a water pump.
There's a water. pump.
Yeah, there's a water pump that powers that.
Turned
and
on
that-
every year.
Yeah, that gets turned on in the summer. Any other questions on rec? And do I need to go through that line by line, or do we all think we've got a good handle on it?
Can I
No.
add one more comment if there's no questions? This is off the ledger info. We are working on a fundraising effort for Maddie Dodge. Colleen has done a fantastic job working with Book to fundraise for the new basketball court. Next up, I'll let her give you some numbers to that because she's way closer to it than me. But the next project that we're working on is going to be a new shade structure there. And we went back and forth on whether we include that in the budget. We think it'll be about $20,000 to $25,000. And we have decided we are going to work to fundraise it. Our goal would be to have it built by next spring so camp can more fully shift over there. Maybe not 100%, but we'd like to spend more time at Maddie Dodge as our home base. And we've pulled in folks from the school and other departments as well, just because we know it is a bigger effort, but that's something we're working on fundraising for completely separate from this budget.
That's long overdue. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Thank you for your willingness to do the fundraising part on that,
People were really generous there. And that is a work in progress as well. Because it got tested last summer and it's non-potable at this time.
Need some kind of service system. but-
Yeah, a filter. There's a filter there. We're working on talking to JT about stuff for the future. And that's it.
All right.
We are done.
No other questions on rec? Thank you very much, Colleen. Thank you, Lauren.
thank you.
Going on to provider agencies, section 48.
You also have a listing that Tina has created, and I have a folder over here with all the backup information.
There's only 3 major changes. Waldo Community Action Partners, that one's,
And so then they were never able to get it back going because we didn't have enough kids in the school to.
I was gonna suggest this.
Subsidize it.
Something like that.
What is New Hope for women?
That's
So,
I mean,
the,
I'm
Women's
all
shelter.
for
that's the domestic violence shelter.
it. I see.
I like it, I know all these things.
the other 2 changes, Spectrum, which we did not give to last year, we are looking to give to this year. And then the other difference, the pet food pantry we did give to this year, we are looking to not give that to them next year.
Very interesting. Well,
Okay.
thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, big change is the Community Action Partner. Any-
Spectrum. I don't know that one.
Spectrum generation, elderly services.
Nice,
Yeah,
okay.
provided services to 3 Islesboro residents in the past fiscal year.
Any questions on provider agencies? All righty. The other thing is, the outreach worker, which, we weren't utilizing as much previously. We are utilizing the outreach worker more going forward, so that's, but that's not changing.
Do we have somebody filling that position now,
Well,
or?
Jen still is.
Yes.
She's just- okay.
She's-
Yeah.
She's clocking, checking the boxes and that sort of thing, and Okay.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the majority of what she can handle at the
Yeah,
moment.
and if we come across someone else.
Yeah,
who's looking for
yeah,
funds,
obviously we want to fill that position because.
Right.
Don't have much time. The last thing on the agenda here is unclassified. Section 49. Let's see, 49-1 Memorial Day wreaths. The estimated cost of those is going up, so they're asking for an extra $100, bringing that budget from 6 to 7. 49-2 is cemeteries. They're not asking for any increase. 49-3 insurances. Fortunately, insurance is not going down. FICA increases the more people we have. Health insurance goes up the more, well, it's just going up because it's going up. It was a 9% increase this year. Retirement plan or retirement contributions, again, that goes up the more people we bring on that are eligible for those benefits. So that's going from 22 to 24. The other change is the risk pool. Our property and casualty that's offered through Maine Municipal, again, insurance is not going down, so that cost is going up. Lastly, the auditor. I know there was talk previously about potentially finding a different auditor, maybe one that was less expensive. There's no one else out there.
I thought you liked our auditor.
Oh, we love our auditor. There was a question about the cost involved with the auditor and really, there are not a lot of alternatives. Even if we spend way more, there's not a lot of alternatives. So, anyway, so that's going up slightly, or we expect that to go up slightly. Other than that, not a whole lot of change in 49. Any questions on 49?
My only question is for the cemeteries. I mean, it looks like they budgeted 9,500 in FY 25 and didn't spend any. They budgeted that this year and it looks like they've spent some, but
Well,
It's because the work is done in the spring.
you're
Okay.
preparing,
And
sending
we don't let the headstone repair people, we don't let them into the actual cemeteries until the ground will support their vehicles and stuff.
okay.
2,500 for the airport. It wasn't there in 25, or we budgeted for 25, they didn't get anything in 25.
that invoice is probably coming. Another thing that gets paid in the spring. So as soon as I get the bill, that would be a zero.
Oh, it'll go,
Yeah.
fill in there, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And it hasn't really changed much, so that's why I left it at 25.
I know 40 auditors went up a little bit. Is that because planning for the potential for a more complicated audit?
No, it's really just because we expect their cost to go up.
Do we need to plan for
She
more
told us.
complicated
Oh, she confirmed it. Okay.
with the federal funding that we have?
Talking about single audit?
Mhm.
From what we've been told, we're not,
Below the
Yeah.
yeah,
threshold.
we're still below the threshold
Okay.
and fingers crossed we stay that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, Ken?
Could somebody explain the risk pool, what is covered by the risk pool?
That's property and casualty. So fire damage to the town office or literally any other building that's covered by property and casualty, which is all of the town-owned facilities.
And
For,
what they pay, what they won't pay.
we have a deductible, I mean?
Right.
There's a deductible, there's also a maximum that they'll cover. I mean,
Well,
if the cost to rebuild this building is 2 million and they say, well, your coverage is only 500,000, then that's what we're getting. I mean,
That depends on what we have it, listed as. We have $1,000 deductible.
okay, so with the lighthouse, they wouldn't cover the foundation, which is, to me, is,
Well, there was a reason for that, right? Which they
And-
don't cover.
and that usually would be something along the lines of deferred maintenance. I mean, if it was a sudden thing that happens, they would say, okay, maybe that's covered. But if it's something that happens gradually over time, They look at it and go, well, no, you should have noticed this, so we're not covering it.
She said the risk management lady. Foundation.
Okay. Then they don't cover foundations. I think it's,
So, I mean, the foundation here,
nope.
They also didn't cover the foundation for the library when they had to do the repairs on that. We had to pay for that out of pocket too.
Yep.
And so I do think it is kind of a general standard going across, but it's a very limited, very narrow line.
all right, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you all
Thank
for being in tonight and talking about all your good work.
We are done.
Not right. You're done.
I am.
Oh, I couldn't.
I got another meeting to go to.
All right, we will roll right into the select board meeting. Thank you, guys.
I just need a minute to
Swap.
look it up. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Have a good night.
Bye, Brian. Thank you, Brian.
Bye.
I got another meeting to go to.
Oh, that's horrible.